Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Matthew Swift, Concordia co-founder and CEO, and Nicholas Logothetis, Concordia co-founder and chairman.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to New York from Matt and myself and the entire Concordia team. This is our 2022 Concordia Annual Summit. 12 years since Concordia's founding and a total of 36 summits around the world. It's an honor to be here in New York City alongside the 77th session of the United Nations General Assembly. I cannot tell you how happy we all are to be welcoming so many people back in person to our summit this year as we continue to recover from COVID. And I believe President Biden yesterday said the pandemic is over. So that's something to applaud. This year marks Concordia's 12th annual gathering and the first fully in-person annual summit since pre-COVID in 2019. Whilst digital technology has offered so many solutions over the past few years, there is no replacement for the power of in-person connection, and that's precisely why Concordia exists today. Over the next few days, I urge you to remember why we're all here. Whether through one-on-one meetings, closed-door roundtable discussions, media interviews, or a networking event, the power of connection and in-person connection carries immense potential. It can open up a grant, it can create a new business relationship, it can result in an organization or initiative expanding to a new region. So please take advantage of all the networking opportunities that the annual summit has to offer. Our extensive roster of speakers and attendees stretches across nations, political affiliations, industries, and backgrounds, and there is plentiful opportunity to establish new relationships. I encourage you to speak to us or any member of the Concordia team about our membership and partnerships program and the variety of ways you can engage with our network. As I mentioned, we have a robust agenda for you over the next 3 days, thanks in large part to the leading private, public, and nonprofit sector organizations we have in our community. You will encounter presidents, prime ministers, CEOs, and other leaders over the next days, and their contributions will be invaluable to our discussions and action. However, equally invaluable will be the contributions of the students, young entrepreneurs, and interested citizens you will also encounter. At Concordia, we firmly believe that voices from across the spectrum are simply instrumental in solving the pressing global challenges of today. Our team is here to help in any way possible, as are Matt and myself. Please stop us to give compliments, complaints, areas for improvement, or anything in between. We would be most grateful to hear from you. Thank you very much.
I know we got to keep doing summits because every time I come out, I'm always surprised that you all show up. So thank you all for coming. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, good morning. Thank you and welcome to the 12th Annual Concordia Summit. Thank you, Nick. It is wonderful to see you all here. And it is great to be together again, fully in person, here in New York City. I am proud to say that I do believe that Concordia is the leading convening parallel to the United Nations General Assembly. And each year, as Nick talked about, we gather heads of state, leaders of companies around the world, and some of the leading think tanks, NGOs, and foundations to promote collaboration, collectively forging a path toward a more sustainable and equitable future to address the greatest issues of our time. We use the phrase, our time, a great deal. And I think now, this moment in time, is an absolute critical juncture for the world. The issues facing us are more diverse and more pressing than at any time in human history. And now is a crucial time for us to come together to help build the future. This morning, we watched the funeral for Queen Elizabeth II, and it is remarkable to reflect on the life she led and the history she witnessed. What's even more remarkable are the innumerable changes that have taken place in the world since she assumed the mantle of her role. I do want to take a moment to acknowledge the historic moment for Britain, the United Kingdom, and those honoring and mourning her this day. This year's Concordia gathering marks the first time we've convened fully in person for the annual summit since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. There's simply no replacing coming together in person. Technology enhances our lives, and Zoom fatigue is very real. The energy of a room full of people, the personal networking between sessions, and the clarity of communicating face-to-face are invaluable and unable to be reproduced by modern technology, in my view. We are together this week in New York to meet the challenge of charting a course forward through the post-pandemic world and to build on a spirit of international cooperation. Concordia welcomes all points of view. We are fiercely and unapologetically nonpartisan. We at Concordia feel that responsibility now more than ever at a time when partisan divide threatens to erode the spirit of cooperation and compromise critical to preserving our great institutions. We've hosted summits that have been opened by George Soros and closed by T. Boone Pickens, hosted Presidents Bush and Clinton, and back-to-back sessions with former U.S. Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld and former U.S. Secretary of State Madeleine Albright, both of whom mentored Concordia through formative moments in our growth. We have speakers and attendees from nations all around the world representing all walks of life, all areas of interest, and multiple points of view. All are welcome and all are encouraged to share their voices, and it will be heard. Concordia is truly many voices, one community. Please take time to consider something as we open this summit. Each session, each meeting, each interaction, and each of us can have an impact. As I said last year, each of us is 1 degree of separation from everyone you know. That 1 degree can have a tremendous impact on just about any issue you can imagine. I remember from last year when the SpaceX Inspiration 4 flight came back to Earth carrying 4 civilians on a commercial spacecraft. Their plan was to land in the Atlantic Ocean, but what if the weather was not good? What if the ocean was too rough? All they had to do was change their trajectory to adjust it by 1 simple degree, and they would instead land in the Gulf of Mexico. 1 degree was all it would take to make a dramatic change in the course of human spacecraft. Never underestimate the power of 1 degree of movement or listening. Today, as we meet, listen, and share, I would ask that you keep that in mind. Think about how what you are hearing can impact not only yourself, but everyone around you. Think about what that 1 degree of separation and how a single voice can cause ripples into the future. Before we kick things off, I want to thank our founding sponsor, the Libra Group, as well as generous partners for today's sessions, the City of New York, the Wilson Center, Salesforce, Hologic, Verizon, Horizon Therapeutics, CARE, McKinsey, and the Rockefeller Foundation. I would also like to thank our sustainability partners, McDonald's, Winrock International, and Rubicon Technologies, as well as our countless programming partners. Also to our media partners, welcome. Thank you for sharing what you see and hear with the world.